You talk a lot about maps in your books, especially some ancient ones, like ways we find longitude. And we have like a 1538. This is the year 1538 when there was suddenly a Mercator projection map. What's your theory about how we had all these very accurate maps? These all came as hand-me-downs from an older civilization that was seafaring?
Yeah, you've got it.
Okay.
Roughly that. And why? Because on some of the maps, the map maker in their own handwriting have stated that the map was based on much older source maps, which had fallen apart. In the case of the famous Piri Reis map, for example, Piri Reis was a Turkish admiral, drew his map in around 1513. And he tells us kindly in his own handwriting on the map that he used 100 source maps that were so ancient that they were falling apart. And he theorized that those maps had come from the lost library of Alexandria in Egypt, that they had been extracted from the library of Alexandria before it was burnt down. And so what he's presenting us with in his map is a compilation of older source maps that have come down goodness knows from where. Then when we start to look at the details of his map and many maps drawn in that period from these older source maps, we find that they're showing the world as it looked during the Ice Age, not as it looks today. They're showing the world with sea levels much lower than they are today. So land masses are joined together, which are now islands. For example, Indonesia, the Malaysian peninsula, and the Indonesian islands as we know them today look completely different before 12,000 years ago. This was a huge continent-sized, massive landmass, and that is reflected on many ancient maps. Antarctica appears on many of these ancient maps, yet our civilization did not discover Antarctica until the year 1818. So to find it on maps drawn in 1500 based on much older source maps is truly puzzling. It has to open the mind and make us wonder what's going on here, because there is evidence that somebody was mapping the world with a very high degree of accuracy. You see, we can do latitudes, anybody can do latitudes, but doing accurate longitudes is really quite a technological feat. And it wasn't until the early 1800s, the late 1700s, that our civilization was able to do that. You need to have an accurate timepiece, a chronometer that will tell you the time at the port you left from, and you can compare it with the local noon. And then you can do longitude. It's a technological achievement. So to find longitude, accurate longitudes, as good as any modern map on these ancient maps, has to alert us to the possibility that we've lost a civilization.